The summer sun blazed mercilessly over the dusty streets of Riverside, Nevada, as Sam Crawford loaded supplies into his truck outside Henderson's General Store. At 38, Sam had the sun-weathered skin and calloused hands of a man who'd spent his life working cattle on the high desert ranch he'd inherited from his uncle 5 years ago. The Silver Creek Ranch was modest but profitable, providing enough income for Sam to live comfortably in his solitude. Sam preferred the quiet life after his divorce 3 years ago, when his ex-wife Claire had left him for a lawyer in Reno. Claiming ranch life was suffocating, Sam had sworn off romantic complications. The divorce had been brutal, not just emotionally, but financially. Claire had tried to claim half the ranch, and only the fact that it had been in Sam's family for generations had saved him from losing everything. The legal fees and settlement had left him cautious about letting anyone too close to his heart or his home. As he secured the last bag of feed in his truck bed, Sam heard a commotion from the direction of the Truckee River that ran through the center of town. Shouts and cries for help echoed off the buildings, and Sam instinctively moved toward the sound, his long strides carrying him quickly to the riverbank. What he saw made his blood run cold. A woman was struggling in the swift current, about 50 yards downstream from the old wooden bridge. The river was running high from the mountain snowmelt, and the current was strong enough to sweep away even a good swimmer. The woman was clearly in trouble, her head disappearing beneath the surface for longer periods with each passing second. A small crowd had gathered on the bank, but no one was moving to help. Sam could hear fragments of shouted conversations. Too dangerous. Currents too strong. Someone called the fire department. He recognized most of the voices: Betty from the diner, old Pete Matthews from the hardware store, young Tommy Wilson who worked at the gas station. Good people, but none of them were strong enough swimmers to attempt a rescue in these conditions. Sam didn't hesitate. He kicked off his boots, pulled off his hat, and dove into the river without a second thought. The shock of the cold water hit him like a physical blow, but he pushed through it, using powerful strokes to angle across the current toward the drowning woman. The river fought him every inch of the way, trying to sweep him downstream, along with its intended victim. Sam's years of physical labor had given him the strength to battle the current, but he could feel it sapping his energy with each stroke. The woman was farther away than she'd appeared from the bank, and she was being carried downstream faster than he'd anticipated. When he finally reached the woman, she was barely conscious, her face pale and her lips blue from the cold water. She was younger than he'd initially thought, maybe late 20s, with long dark hair that floated around her face like seaweed. Her clothes suggested she wasn't local. The designer dress and expensive jewelry were out of place in working-class Riverside. "I've got you," Sam gasped, wrapping his arm around her waist and beginning the difficult swim back to shore. "Just hold on." The woman's eyes fluttered open, and for a moment they were a startling blue-green, like the deep pools in the mountain streams above his ranch. She tried to speak, but only managed to cough up river water. Sam could see fear in her eyes, but also something else: recognition. Gratitude. It was hard to tell through her obvious disorientation. This incredible rescue story is just the beginning. Hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing true stories that will leave you completely stunned. The swim back to shore felt like it took hours, though it was probably only minutes. Sam fought against the current with one arm, while keeping the woman's head above water with the other. His muscles burned with the effort, and more than once he thought they might both be swept away. But the thought of this stranger dying on his watch drove him forward, stroke after stroke, until he felt his feet touch the rocky bottom near the shore. By the time willing hands pulled them both onto the riverbank, Sam was exhausted, and the woman was unconscious. The crowd had grown larger, and Sam could see genuine concern on the faces surrounding them. "Someone called Doc Morrison," shouted Betty from the diner, "and get some blankets." Dr. Morrison arrived within minutes, his medical bag in hand, and his gray hair disheveled from running. He'd been the town's only doctor for over 30 years, and Sam had never seen him look quite as worried as he did examining the unconscious woman. "She's going to be fine," Doc Morrison announced after a few tense minutes. "Some water in her lungs, mild hypothermia, but nothing that won't heal. Sam, you saved her life. Another few minutes in that current, and she'd have been gone." The woman stirred, her eyes opening to focus on Sam's face. She tried to sit up, but Doc Morrison gently pushed her back down. "Easy there, miss. You've had quite a scare. What's your name?" The woman's brow furrowed in concentration, and a look of confusion crossed her face. I don't. Single quotes, T. She looked around at the faces surrounding her, then back at Sam. "I don't Remember? Doc Morrison frowned. You don't remember your name. She shook her head slowly, wincing as if the movement caused pain. I remember falling. And the water. And she looked at Sam again. I remember you pulling me out. Memory loss isn't uncommon after a trauma like this, Doc Morrison explained. To the gathered crowd. Could be temporary. Could be from hitting her head when she fell in. The human brain sometimes shuts down traumatic memories as a protective mechanism. We'll need to get her to the hospital in Carson City for proper evaluation. No, the woman said suddenly, her voice gaining strength. I don't want to go to a hospital, please. There was something in her tone, fear, perhaps, or desperation, that made Sam look at her more closely. Why not? You need medical attention. I can provide basic care here in town, Doc Morrison said. But really, a hospital would be better, equipped to handle potential head injuries. Run proper tests. No hospitals. The woman repeated firmly. Please. I have a feeling I shouldn't. Sam found himself speaking before he'd really thought about it. She can stay at my ranch. It's quiet, peaceful. Might help her memory come back. Everyone turned to stare at him, including the woman. Sam wasn't sure what had prompted the offer. Maybe it was the look of fear in her eyes. Or maybe it was the simple fact that she had nowhere else to go. Sam, that's very generous, Doc Morrison said carefully. But this woman is a complete stranger. We don't know anything about her circumstances, her medical history, whether she has family looking for her. I know she almost drowned and needs help, Sam replied. That's enough for me. The woman who had introduced herself simply as Anna, when pressed for something to call her, looked at Sam with an expression of gratitude, mixed with something else he couldn't quite identify. I'll pay you back, she said quietly. Somehow, when I remember who I am. Don't worry about that, Sam said, surprising himself again with his immediate protectiveness toward this stranger. Let's just focus on getting you well. As Doc Morrison gathered his supplies and the crowd began to disperse, Sam helped Anna to her feet. She was unsteady, leaning heavily on his arm. And he could feel her trembling, whether from cold, fear, or shock. He couldn't tell. Thank you, she whispered as they walked toward his truck. I don't know why you're helping me, but thank you. Sam looked down at this mysterious woman who'd literally fallen into his life. Someone once told me that we're all just one bad day away from needing a stranger's kindness. As they drove toward the Silver Creek Ranch, neither Sam nor Anna could have imagined how completely this chance encounter would change both their lives, or that Anna's lost memories held secrets that would soon turn their quiet Nevada town upside down. The mystery deepens 3 days after the rescue. Sam sat on his porch, watching Anna tend to the small garden behind his ranch house. She'd thrown herself into helping around the property with an intensity that seemed to go beyond gratitude. It was as if staying busy helped keep whatever memories she was avoiding at bay. Anna moved through the garden with surprising knowledge, knowing instinctively which plants needed more water and which were ready for harvest. When Sam had commented on her gardening skills, she'd paused with a confused look, as if she'd surprised herself. I don't know how I know these things, she'd said, her voice troubled. It's like my hands remember even when my mind doesn't. The past 3 days had been a revelation for Sam. His house, which had felt empty and echo-prone since his divorce, suddenly felt alive again. Anna had a way of moving through the spaces that made them feel warmer, more welcoming. She hummed while she worked to ask thoughtful questions about the ranch operations, and seemed genuinely interested in learning about his life. But there were moments when she would stop suddenly, her face going blank as if she was trying to grasp something just out of reach. Sometimes she would start to say something, then stop herself with a confused shake of her head. It was clear that her memories were trying to return, but something was blocking them. Dr. Morrison had visited twice, pronouncing her physically recovered but still concerned about her memory loss. He'd gently suggested again that she see a specialist, but Anna had refused, with the same fearful determination Sam had witnessed at the river. Sam, Anna called from the garden, her voice carrying a note of excitement. Come look at this. Sam walked over to find her kneeling beside a patch of herbs, her face animated in a way he hadn't seen since the rescue. Lavender, she said, touching the purple flowers gently. And rosemary, thyme, sage. Someone planted a proper herb garden here. She looked up at him with questioning eyes. Did your uncle cook? Uncle Bill? He could barely boil water. Sam laughed. This must have been from before his time, or maybe one of the ranch hands' wives planted it years ago. Anna stood, brushing dirt from her knees. She was wearing clothes they'd bought in town, simple jeans, and a blue cotton shirt that brought out her eyes. Without the expensive dress she'd been wearing when he pulled her from the river, she looked like she belonged on a ranch. "I think I know how to cook," she said thoughtfully. "Really cook, not just basic meals. Would you mind if I made dinner tonight?" "I'd be grateful," Sam said honestly. His own cooking skills were limited to whatever could be grilled or heated in a can. That evening, Sam came in from checking the cattle to find his kitchen transformed. Anna had prepared a meal that wouldn't have been out of place in a fine restaurant: herb-crusted chicken, roasted vegetables from the garden, and bread that filled the house with an incredible aroma. "Anna, this is amazing," Sam said after his first bite. "Where did you learn to cook like this?" She paused, fork halfway to her mouth, that familiar confused expression crossing her face. I'm not sure. It felt natural, like following a recipe I've known forever, but I can't remember learning it." They ate in comfortable silence for a while, but Sam could see Anna's mind working, trying to piece together fragments of memory that kept slipping away. "Sam," she said finally, "what if I'm running from something? What if there's a reason I don't want to remember?" "What if you are?" Sam replied. "Doesn't change the fact that you're here now, helping me around the ranch, making the best meals I've had in years. Whatever happened before doesn't define who you are now." Anna looked at him across the candlelit table, and Sam felt something stir in his chest that he'd thought was dead since his divorce. There was something about Anna that drew him, in her quiet strength, her obvious intelligence, the way she'd adapted to ranch life as if she'd been born to it. "You're a good man, Sam Crawford," she said softly. "I hope when I remember who I am, I turn out to be worthy of your kindness." Before Sam could respond, they were interrupted by the sound of vehicles coming up the ranch road. Through the window, Sam could see headlights, multiple vehicles moving fast toward the house. Anna went pale, her hand moving instinctively to her throat. "They found me," she whispered. "Who found you?" Sam asked. But Anna was already moving toward the back door. "I have to go," she said, her voice panicked. "If they see me here, they'll hurt you too." Sam caught her arm gently. "Anna, stop. Whatever this is, we'll face it together. You don't have to run." "You don't understand," Anna said, tears streaming down her face. "I remember now. Some of it, anyway. My name isn't on it, Alexandra Sinclair, and I think those men are here to kill me." The vehicles pulled up in front of the house, 3 black SUVs, with tinted windows. Sam felt his protective instincts kick in as he moved to the front window to look out. Men in expensive suits were getting out of the vehicles, their movements coordinated and professional. These weren't local law enforcement or federal agents. These were private security, and they looked serious. "Alexandra," Sam said quietly, "what did you do?" "I saw something I wasn't supposed to see," she whispered. "My father, he's a federal judge. I discovered he was taking bribes, fixing cases for organized crime figures. When I threatened to expose him, she shuddered. I think he arranged for me to have an accident." The pieces were falling into place for Sam. The expensive clothes, the fear of hospitals and official attention, the way she'd ended up in the river. "You think your own father tried to have you killed?" "Judge Harold Sinclair doesn't let family loyalty interfere with business," Alexandra said bitterly. "I have evidence hidden somewhere safe, but I can't remember where. That's why they need me alive for now." A knock on the front door interrupted their conversation, not the urgent pounding Sam might have expected, but a polite, controlled knock. "Mr. Crawford," a voice called. "We'd like to speak with you about a woman you pulled from the river a few days ago." Sam looked at Alexandra, seeing the terror in her eyes. In that moment, he made a decision that would change everything. "Follow my lead," he whispered, then called out to the men outside. "Just a minute." He walked to the door with Alexandra beside him, his mind racing with a plan that was either brilliant or completely insane. As he opened the door, Sam slipped his arm around Alexandra's waist and smiled at the 3 men standing on his porch. "Gentlemen, what can I do for you?" The lead man, a tall figure with cold eyes, showed a badge that looked official but wasn't quite right. "Agent Morrison, we're looking for a missing woman, Alexandra Sinclair. We have reason to believe she may have been in this area." Sam felt Alexandra tense beside him, but he kept his voice casual. "Alexandra Sinclair, never heard of her. This is my wife, Anna Crawford. We've been married for, about 2 years now." Alexandra caught on immediately, snuggling closer to Sam's side. "Honey, who are these men? Is something wrong?" The confusion on the lead man's face was almost comical. He looked back and forth between Sam and Alexandra, clearly not expecting this development. "Your wife," he said slowly. That's right, Sam said firmly. Is there a problem with that? The deception. The lead man's eyes narrowed as he studied Alexandra's face more carefully. Mrs. Crawford, you bear a striking resemblance to the woman we're looking for. Perhaps you have a sister named Alexandra Sinclair. Alexandra shook her head, maintaining her grip on Sam's arm. I'm sorry, but I don't have any sisters. And I've never heard of anyone named Alexandra Sinclair. Sam could feel the tension radiating from the men on his porch. They weren't convinced, but they also couldn't prove anything without being certain. The fact that Alexandra looked different, healthier, more relaxed, dressed in simple ranch clothes instead of designer attire, working in their favor. May I ask where you and your wife were married? The second man asked, pulling out a notebook. Right here in Riverside, Sam said without hesitation. Judge Peterson performed the ceremony. Beautiful service, wasn't it, honey? The most beautiful day of my life, Alexandra said, and Sam was amazed at how natural she sounded. The men exchanged glances. Sam could see them calculating, trying to decide whether to push harder or retreat. Finally, the lead man handed Sam a business card. If you see or hear anything about Alexandra Sinclair, please call us immediately. She's dangerous. Mentally unstable. Her family is very worried about her. Of course, Sam said, pocketing the card. We'll keep an eye out. After the men left, Sam and Alexandra stood at the window, watching their vehicles disappear down the ranch road. Only when the taillights were completely out of sight did Alexandra allow herself to collapse into a chair, shaking. They'll be back, she said quietly. And next time, they'll have done their research. They'll know there's no record of Anna Crawford being married to you. Sam was already thinking ahead. Then we need to make sure there is a record. Alexandra looked at him in shock. Sam, you can't be serious. You can't actually marry a woman you've known for 3 days just to protect her from some criminals. Watch me, Sam said, his jaw set with determination. You said yourself they'll be back. When they come, we need to be able to prove our story. But this is crazy. You don't know anything about me, about what you'd be getting into. Sam knelt beside her chair, taking her hands in his. Alexandra, I know enough. I know you're brave, enough to stand up to corruption, even when it puts your life at risk. I know you're kind enough to help with ranch work, even when you're terrified and confused. I know you cook like an angel, and work in the garden like you were born to it. Sam, I also know that those men aren't going to give up. They'll keep coming, and eventually, they'll figure out who you are. But if you're legally my wife, that gives us options. Spousal privilege in court, legal protections, time to figure out where you hid that evidence. Alexandra stared at him, tears streaming down her face. You would do that for me. Risk everything for a stranger. You're not a stranger anymore, Sam said simply. Your family. The next morning, Sam and Alexandra walked into the Riverside County Courthouse, hand in hand. Word of their impending marriage had spread through the small town. Overnight, Sam had made sure of that by stopping at the diner and mentioning it to Betty, who was better than any newspaper for spreading news. Judge Peterson, a kindly man in his 70s who'd known Sam since he was a boy, was waiting in his chambers with the necessary paperwork. Sam, are you sure about this? Judge Peterson asked quietly. This is awfully sudden, even for you. I've never been more sure of anything in my life, Sam replied. And he was surprised to realize he meant it. As they stood before the judge, with Betty and Doc Morrison serving as witnesses, Sam looked at Alexandra and saw something he hadn't expected. Not just gratitude, but genuine affection. Over the past few days, they'd developed a companionship that felt natural, comfortable. Right, do you, Samuel Crawford, take Anna to be your lawfully wedded wife? Judge Peterson asked. I do, Sam said firmly. And do you, Anna Crawford, take Samuel to be your lawfully wedded husband? Alexandra looked into Sam's eyes, and for a moment, the fear and uncertainty that had shadowed her face since the rescue disappeared. I do, she said, her voice strong and clear. By the power vested in me by the state of Nevada, I now pronounce you husband and wife. As Sam kissed his new bride gently on the lips, he heard applause from the small gathered crowd. Word had indeed spread, and half the town seemed to have shown up to witness the ceremony. Walking out of the courthouse into the bright Nevada sunshine, Sam and Alexandra were immediately surrounded by well-wishers. Mrs. Henderson from the general store pressed a wedding cake into Alexandra's hands. Tom Bailey from the hardware store slapped Sam on the back and offered to help with anything they needed for the ranch house. Welcome to the family, Anna, said Sally Morrison, Doc Morrison's wife. Sam's a good man. You picked well. As they made their way through the crowd, Alexandra squeezed Sam's hand. "They really love you here," she said quietly. "It's a good town," Sam replied. "Good people who take care of their own, and now I'm one of their own." Sam stopped walking and turned to face her. "Now you're one of their own," he confirmed. "Whatever happens next, you've got a whole town standing behind you." That evening, as they sat on the porch of the ranch house now watching the sunset paint the desert mountains in shades of gold and purple, Alexandra finally asked the question that had been hanging between them all day. "Sam, what happens when this is all over? When my father and his people are caught? When I'm safe again? What happens to us then?" Sam was quiet for a long moment, considering his answer. "I guess that depends on what you want to happen." "What I want?" Alexandra laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Sam, I don't even know who I really am anymore. 3 days ago, I was a federal judge's daughter living in Washington, D.C. Now I'm a rancher's wife in Nevada. My whole life has been turned upside down." "Maybe that's not such a bad thing," Sam said gently. "You said yourself your father was corrupt, that you were living in a world where family loyalty didn't matter. Maybe this is a chance to start over, to build something real." Alexandra looked at him, and Sam could see the internal struggle playing out on her face. "You really mean that, don't you? You'd want me to stay, even after all this is resolved?" "Alexandra," Sam said, taking her hand. "These past few days with you have been the happiest I've had in years. You've brought life back to this place, back to me. If you wanted to make this marriage real, permanent, I'd be honored." Before Alexandra could respond, they were interrupted by the sound of a car coming up the ranch road. But this time, instead of black SUVs, it was Doc Morrison's familiar pickup truck. Doc Morrison got out with a serious expression. "Sam, Anna, we need to talk. I just got a call from Carson City. Some federal agents are asking questions about the woman who was pulled from the river. Real federal agents this time, not the fake ones who came here yesterday." Sam felt Alexandra tense beside him. "What kind of questions?" "The kind that suggests your wife might be in more danger than we thought, and they want to meet with her tomorrow." As the implications of Doc Morrison's words sank in, Sam realized that their carefully constructed deception was about to face its biggest test yet. The truth revealed the next morning. Sam and Alexandra sat in Judge Peterson's office facing two legitimate FBI agents, Agent Sarah Chen and Agent Michael Rodriguez. Unlike the fake agents from the previous day, these two had proper credentials and serious expressions that suggested they knew exactly who Alexandra really was. "Mrs. Crawford," Agent Chen began, her voice gentle but firm, "we know who you are. We know you're Alexandra Sinclair, daughter of Federal Judge Harold Sinclair, and we know you're in considerable danger." Alexandra looked at Sam, who nodded encouragingly. They'd discussed this possibility the night before and decided that honesty was their best option with real law enforcement. "How long have you known?" Alexandra asked. "We've been tracking you since you disappeared from Washington 2 weeks ago," Agent Rodriguez replied. "When you failed to meet with our investigators as scheduled, we feared the worst. Finding you alive was ... unexpected." "Your investigators?" Sam interrupted. "You mean the FBI was already investigating Judge Sinclair?" Agent Chen nodded. "For the past 6 months. Alexandra contacted us with evidence of her father's corruption, but before we could arrange a safe meeting, she vanished. We assumed his associates had eliminated her." "They tried," Alexandra said quietly. "I remember now. 2 men came to my apartment, said they were taking me to my father. But instead, they drove toward the river. I managed to get away from them on the bridge, but I fell during the struggle. The men who came to my ranch yesterday," Sam said, "they weren't law enforcement at all." "Definitely not," Agent Rodriguez confirmed. "They're enforcers for the Castellano crime family. Your father has been fixing cases for them for years, Mrs. Sinclair. Or do you prefer Crawford now?" Alexandra glanced at Sam, and he saw something in her eyes that made his heart skip. "Crawford," she said firmly. "I'm Anna Crawford now." Agent Chen raised an eyebrow. "Our records show you were married yesterday." Rather suddenly, given the circumstances. "The marriage was for protection initially," Sam admitted. "But that doesn't make it any less real to us." "I see." Agent Chen studied them both carefully. "Well, regardless of the circumstances, the marriage does provide certain legal protections. Now, Mrs. Crawford, we need that evidence you mentioned. Where did you hide it?" Alexandra closed her eyes, concentrating. "I remember now. A safety deposit box at First National Bank in Carson City. Box 247. The key is ... Double quotes. She paused, her hand going to her throat. I had a necklace, a locket that belonged to my mother. The key was hidden inside it. The necklace you were wearing when I pulled you from the river, Sam said. It's at the house. I kept all your belongings safe. 3 hours later, they stood in the vault of First National Bank as Alexandra opened safety deposit box 247 with shaking hands. Inside were documents, photographs, and audio recordings that detailed years of corruption involving Judge Harold Sinclair and several organized crime figures. This is more than enough, Agent Chen said, reviewing the materials. With this evidence, we can bring down not just your father, but the entire network he's been working with. What happens now? Alexandra asked. Now, you'll need to testify, Agent Rodriguez explained. It could take months for all the trials to conclude. You'll be in witness protection during that time. Sam felt his heart sink. Witness protection meant Alexandra would disappear again, this time forever. Their marriage, their life together, would be over before it really began. There is another option, Agent Chen said, as if reading his thoughts. Given that you're now married to a rancher in a small Nevada town, and given that your husband has demonstrated he can protect you, you could remain here under monitoring rather than entering traditional witness protection. Here, Alexandra looked at Sam with hope in her eyes. We could stay here. With conditions, Agent Rodriguez warned. Regular check-ins, security measures, and absolute secrecy about your true identity outside of law enforcement. As far as the town is concerned, you remain Anna Crawford, Sam's wife, who lost her memory after a near drowning. 6 months later, Sam stood in the same spot by the Truckee River, where he'd first seen Alexandra struggling in the current. But today, instead of a rescue, he was watching his wife teach a group of local children how to fish as part of the town's summer recreation program. The trials had concluded successfully. Judge Harold Sinclair and 17 other defendants had been convicted on multiple charges. Alexandra's testimony, delivered via secure video link with her identity protected, had been the key to their convictions. Anna Crawford had become a beloved member of the Riverside community. She'd started a small catering business using the ranch kitchen, organized fundraisers for the local school, and charmed everyone with her combination of sophistication and down-to-earth practicality. Sam, Alexandra called from the riverbank. Come, help us. Tommy caught his first fish. As Sam walked toward his wife and the excited group of children, he reflected on how completely his life had changed since that day 6 months ago. What had started as a simple rescue had become something far more profounder. Second chance at love, at family, at happiness. You know, Alexandra said that evening as they sat on their porch watching the sunset. I never did thank you properly for saving my life. You thanked me every day, Sam replied, pulling her closer. By choosing to stay, by choosing us, by making this place a home. I love you, Sam Crawford, Alexandra said. And Sam could hear the wonder in her voice, as if she was still amazed by the truth of it. I love you too, Anna Crawford, Sam replied, using the name that had become as real to him as his own. As the stars began to appear in the vast Nevada sky, Sam thought about the mysterious ways that life could change in an instant. A woman falling into a river, a split-second decision to jump in after her. A fake marriage that had become real, all of it had led to this moment of perfect contentment. Sometimes the best rescues are mutual. And sometimes the most important thing you can save is not a life, but a heart that had forgotten how to love. In saving Alexandra from the river, Sam had rescued himself from a loneliness he hadn't even realized was drowning him. If this incredible story about love found in the most unexpected circumstances touched your heart, smash that like button and subscribe for more amazing true stories about courage, love, and second chances. Share this video with someone who believes in the power of fate and unexpected romance. Comment below and tell us, do you believe some people are meant to find each other? Ring that notification bell so you never miss our latest inspiring stories about how a single moment of bravery can change everything. Remember, sometimes the person you save ends up saving you right back. This remarkable story proves that sometimes our greatest rescues are the ones we never see coming. Sam's split-second decision to jump into that river didn't just save Alexandra's life, it saved them both from futures filled with loneliness and regret. Their story reminds us that love can bloom in the most dangerous circumstances, and that sometimes the best marriages are built not on long courtships, but on trust, courage, and the willingness to risk everything for someone who needs our help. What started as deception became the foundation for the most honest relationship either of them had ever known. proving that sometimes we have to lose ourselves completely to find out who we're really meant to be.